Welcome to the Church Sound Podcast, part of the Repurpose Network, where kingdom culture, real life, and technology intersect. I'm your host, Prentice Thompson, and what we do, we talk to real people, pastors, leaders, engineers, tech people, manufacturers, worship leaders, all about church, technology, and provide solutions for a successful Sunday morning service.
Yes. Welcome to another edition of the Church Sound Podcast. I am your humble host, Mr. Prentice Thompson. You know what we do every week. We try to make sure that your church will have an amazing service, making sure that you're empowered, making sure that it's clear and it's concise. And I like to make sure that the information I give to you, you can apply either immediately or be planning to do it, because every button, every fader, everything we do in the kingdom is to build it. So people may think because you preach, you build it. No, you can. But if you're in the back and you have a phone and you're recording the service and you decide to start a podcast about whatever, know that people are watching you and people are looking for you to be a leader in whatever thing you're doing. And it's all to build the kingdom. It doesn't matter what you do. Singing, playing, preaching, teaching, technology. We all here to build the kingdom. And since social media is such a power-packed topic, seems that we all live, breathe in our devices. And I need a person that can break it down to you guys so that you can better understand, so you can better empower your church, your community to use technology to its greatest advantage. I had the pleasure of sharing the stage with this young lady a few years ago at the Inspire Media Conference, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a great time. I like to introduce Reverend Dr. Stacy D. Dandridge. She is the pastor of digital ministry and technology of Church Missionary Baptist Church in Memphis, Tennessee. That's a whole lot.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Prentice. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation. And thank you for your work, the work that you do to keep us informed, engaged, to make sure we sound right, just everything. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I remember when you were presenting and I was sitting on the front row taking copious notes because I believe in writing it down.
Yeah.
In your own handwriting, it's more impactful. And I walked
Mm-hmm.
away with so much information, and I said, "Man, I need to get her on the show because
Yeah, we've been trying for a while. Yeah.
It's been a year,
Yeah.
a little longer than
A little
a year.
over a year. Yeah.
A little over a year." And I was like, I was kind of in the middle of, do I keep going? Because I was really going to shut down the whole podcast. That was my whole.
Wow.
I was going to shut the whole thing down, and I just didn't get the check in my spirit from the author. He's like, no, you can take a break.
Yeah.
But I need you to keep going, because what I want you to share is for the kingdom. So let's dive right in. I looked at your title and I said, I've never heard of the title of digital ministry and technology. Please explain that, because I've never heard of a church having that title.
Well, so thanks to AI, when you type in things to say, "Hey, I do this. This is what I do," and then I said I need like a fancy title. So it is just a title, right? It's just something creative. Uh, Long story short, I guess, or what it actually is basically I'm the media pastor. I'm what you would typically call an online pastor. Somewhat, I don't handle. That's not exactly my role. So I'm over the entire department. Anything media or IT or digital that comes out of Christ Missionary Baptist Church usually comes from my department. And so we've never had a pastor in that role, or, because I'm a minister, I've been in ministry for 18 years now. And so I'm also a techie, and I was hired to this position as the director of media. That was my role before we moved me to the pastoral staff.
Mm.
And so it sounds real fancy and real complicated, but it just means that I oversee, everything media from streaming to video, audio. Actually, we have a lead audio engineer who runs a lot of that, but I oversee that department and anything online, social media, everything digital. IT, we outsource that in terms of who comes in and fixes it and makes sure it's up to date. We use a third party vendor for that, but it still runs by me. So
Right.
just a nice fancy title.
It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, yeah. Just a nice
so,
fancy title, that's all.
so if you had to title what the power of social media and ministry is, like what would be your definition of that?
The word that comes to mind is relevant, impactful. If I just were to give you some words when I think about social media's impact, not just on the world, but in particular for the church, which I think the church still misses even in 2025. Uh, Relevant, impactful, um, reach comes to
Mm,
mind. And so I think that if we were to just kind of hone in on those things, the church in particular, our impact in ministry would probably grow exponentially.
yes. 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 I
Yeah.
totally agree. I totally agree. And I was talking to a friend of mine and we were talking about, church sizes, small church, mid-sized church,
Hmm.
large church.
Hmm.
And I just kind of made it a point and said, you know what? I need to focus everything towards the small church because the small church, every church started small. One,
Hmm.
two, it's more of them
Hmm.
and they have a larger footprint. But if I teach to the small church, the mid-sized church can get something from it, the large church can get something from it.
Hmm.
The mega church is usually doing what I'm already saying. And it kind of lends back to what you're saying of if the church were to grasp onto the power of what social media has and what it can do, it would have a lasting impact on the kingdom.
Hmm. Yeah, I think again it would grow. The kingdom could grow exponentially. Now, I always say, even when I do workshops, of course, social media has its dark sides,
Right?
and technology itself comes with a steep learning curve. And so sometimes churches won't even get into social media because sometimes they don't have the personnel to handle it, or because it comes with a steep learning curve. They kind of shy away from it, or they just think, you still have those who are traditional to say, this stuff don't belong in church. But Jesus went to the marketplace to do ministry, not the temple, right?
That's right.
And I think that I view social media as a modern day marketplace, if you will. It's the place where everybody is, and if that's where we need to take the gospel, then that's where we need to go. And so the quicker, it's amazing I still kind of have to have that conversation in 2025 after having come through a pandemic
Mm.
where everything was online. But there are churches that just reverted back to what they were doing,
Wow.
and didn't see social media as important, and still don't
Wow.
see it. Yeah.
Wow. Man, that's a mouthful.
Yeah. I mean, I see it in workshops that I do when I make it a point to kind of talk to people to see who's in the room. And some
Mhm.
of it is that they don't have the personnel to really handle it. But some of it is they just don't see a need for it, which is just
Right.
shocking to me.
Right.
Yeah,
So when you
shocking.
so when you talk about social media, there are so many platforms that
Yes.
it's on. Is choosing the right platform for your ministry key, or should you be on all of them? Or should you focus on one or two?
I think it's both and sometimes, if that makes sense. So I'll say this I speak for Christ Missionary. We are on multiple platforms, but we've also had a digital footprint for a long time. So there are times and seasons where I will focus our energy, our digital energy, on one platform more than I will another. For instance, we really wanted to grow Instagram when Reels were blowing up. This was before TikTok really took off like it has. And so I still posted on Facebook because Facebook is where our largest audience is. So I didn't want to neglect them, but I put all of my energy into Instagram. And we still don't have the kind of audience that I would like to have, but we have the views, which we can talk about the difference. People still
Hmm.
focus on followers, but you really need to pay attention to the views in the reach. And so I would say to someone who's trying, or a church that's trying to get in social media, you can just start with one platform. The beauty of social media now, from back in the day when it started, if you'll remember, Prentice, is that you can take one piece of content and post it across multiple platforms.
Yes.
You know, back in the day, you used to have to resize
Oh,
everything.
yes. Oh,
Yeah.
man. Oh, gosh. You bring back nightmares.
Yeah. You used to have to, Instagram took one size, Facebook had to have
Oh,
another.
gosh.
Yeah. And so now you can create one thing and post it across multiple platforms. And so, that in itself is an advantage if you want to just be everywhere. But I don't think it's anything wrong with focusing on one platform and growing that audience there.
I found that so true because even as a content creator, sometimes you can get pulled down the rabbit hole. I need to have this for this and that for this and this story,
Hmm.
this type of story for this platform and this type of reel for this platform and what about TikTok? And I
Hmm.
was driving myself crazy. And what I did was I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna focus on Instagram. And when I focused on Instagram for the last year, I think I've gained like 2,000 followers
Wow. Yeah.
just focusing on Instagram. Hardly anything on TikTok, Facebook is more, to me,
Hmm.
Facebook is like the family reunion to me.
Yeah.
My auntie on there, my
Yeah.
cousins is
Right.
on there, your neighborhood, your childhood friends and people that you worked with in the
Right.
past, and people may know you from what things that you do. That's the family reunion. You may find
Hmm.
some people there, but most of the people there, they really know you.
Yeah.
Or they know you more than someone would know on Instagram. Instagram to me is where I needed to focus because I knew that's where my audience was.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like knowing where you want to fish from, what pond you want to fish from.
Right. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
let's talk about, you know, like building an online community is fine, but let's talk about views compared to followers. Because
Hmm.
you brought something up that's I think you can shed some
Yeah.
light on it.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I was listening to, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Gary V.
Yes.
You're in New York. Yeah. You're in New York,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
I'm from New
Uh,
York. I
you're,
currently live in South Carolina, but I'm from New
oh,
York.
okay.
From New
I was
York,
gonna say
yeah.
you got a New York accent.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm from Harlem.
Surely.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Gary V he's a content creator, but a businessman. You know who he is.
Mhm.
For those who may be watching and don't know who Gary V is, I think he adds a lot of value. He's not church. He's not in the church realm or what have you.
Yeah, but when it comes to
But
content creation
he
and
adds a
impact,
lot of
he is.
value.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And so I was listening to something he did, one of his podcasts or something. He was talking to someone. He was talking about this idea of followers and views, which made so much sense that social media now, everybody wanted to have the verified badges. Everybody wants to have the most followers. And that's great. We appreciate followers. But what the algorithm does, and I had started to notice this on pieces of content that we would post, is that it would not they're not even showing it to our followers.
Mm.
Most of the things that we post, Christ Missionary, things that sometimes get 100,000 views or more, it when you look at the analytics of it, it's saying that it only reached so many of your followers, right? But it's almost like YouTube views. I hear
Yes.
YouTubers say all the time, please subscribe. 75% of the people who are watching me are not subscribers. And so I think that we're going to eventually have to shift our focus from trying to get so many followers and just focus on the content that we're creating
Mm-hmm.
and the message in terms of the gospel, that finding creative ways to package the gospel and to create content to then get it out in front of people,
Right.
because the algorithm does not seem to be focusing on sending. If Prentice follows me, Prentice isn't more than likely not going to see my content unless I'm posting multiple times a day. That's another conversation. Because quantity does matter on social media in helping your platform grow, or the amount of times that you post.
Yes.
But I think I would agree with Gary V on this about it being views over followers now.
Yes.
That's where we're headed.
Yeah, and I found that true as well when I really started to focus. I started to look at the view, because when you look at your dashboard, those of you who don't look at your dashboard, you should look at your dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it will tell you who's watching. It'll
Right.
tell you where they're from. It'll tell you
Right.
their demographic. It'll tell you. So this way, you really know who your audience truly is.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
makes more sense the more information, and then you can tailor your information and to see how the algorithm reacts with your post. And
Right.
also posting multiple times a day, I found that especially on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
especially on YouTube, I found that I would get so much more traction if I posted more shorts
Mm-hmm.
than the actual.
Shorts.
Yes.
Shorts have taken off on YouTube. I think that to me, shorts are. I mean, it's like a reel. But to me, it's still an under underappreciated is not the word I want to use. Underutilized. Like,
Yes.
when people are creating content, they're not even thinking about, myself included. Like, with my new project that I have coming up, am making it a point to create content to start growing on YouTube or do shorts. But people just completely forget about shorts. But it's a gold mine.
It is. It is.
It's
And
a gold mine.
even if you think about, even if to all my listeners out there, if you're on your phone, what do you watch most? Cuz cuz just flipping, it's kind of like flipping the channels like when you were a kid, like
Mm-hmm.
trying to find something to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You look up and it's an hour. You look
Yep.
up and your thumb will be sore just from just from
Yep.
scrolling, and you haven't watched a full project. You haven't watched
Right.
a full program. You've only watched snippets or shorts of a topic, which will lead you to, I think I want to watch the full video. But 9 times out
Mm-hmm.
of 10, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
what what type of shorts you think are most impactful for a church? Is it the service? Is it a topic within the preaching? Is it um like what should the church be looking at?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would start, if you're looking to start, I would just start with the low hanging fruit, which is the sermon. I would start cutting for shorts. I think they're up to 90 seconds now. I can't remember the time. You do have it's a shorter
It's six,
time than you have with reels. Is it
it's
60
60 seconds.
seconds?
Yep.
It's still okay.
Hmm.
So you have to be, you got to cut it.
And they will cut it if it's over
They
60
will cut it.
seconds.
Yeah, yeah, they will cut it. They have not moved that. I thought we would have had longer shorts by now, but they are intentional about
Yes.
keeping that time down. And so when you edit your content, you have to make it engaging. So I would start with the sermon. I would add a lot of things that I see on shorts, captions, still. And when I say captions, it's almost treating it like I think you can upload a thumbnail, but for instance, a piece of content that a short that I did for our church, I forget, I think she was talking about trusting God in a storm. And so for the thumbnail of the short, I put across the thumbnail, I put, "Are you in a storm?" And so somebody who is just scrolling, who may be going through whatever, who's feeling like they're in a storm, they see that question, they click that piece of content. And so sometimes it's not, sometimes it's what you're putting out, sometimes it's how you're presenting what you're putting out
Mhm.
to get the
Right.
people to even click in and start looking. And so I would start with the low hanging fruit, which is the sermon. You know, you're going to have that every week. So,
Right, right. And I think another key point is what you said is the presentation as well. Having the right question.
mhm,
Because just having it up there is just one thing, and it may look great, but
mhm,
having a question is really like your pinpoint. It's really marketing. It's really what it is.
right.
It's
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 marketing.
marketing. It's marketing.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
what you want to do is you want to bring people towards you, so you give them information that they know that they can uh, learn from, grow from. You never know where a person is, and I'm pretty sure just the title alone will make people click just because of it. And it kind of
Right.
lends back to your live stream. Like,
Yeah.
it lends back to that because you want to have the full message as well.
Right. Yeah.
So what
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
so when you approach it that way,
Hmm.
and I'm pretty sure you've seen this a million times when churches live stream, and the the, the two
Lord have
words that
mercy.
come to mind is "my God" and "Lord have mercy."
Yeah.
Those are the two phrases, because I think a lot of times when you don't know what good is,
Hmm.
you will only do as far as your own imagination.
Hmm.
And it's just, and you, and this, the thing that frustrates, I'm pretty sure it frustrates you when you tell them this,
Hmm.
they get mad at you, or they just choose to do nothing and then come back with a million questions. I don't understand why my blah 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 is not there. I don't understand how
Right.
come people are that people at my church are complaining that the audio is such and such.
Hmm.
And you can give
The
them the
audio.
solution.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone to a movie and sat in a movie when the audio was horrible? You've never
Right.
seen a movie with horrible audio.
Right.
You've seen
Right.
horrible pictures,
Hmm.
but you've never, because you will not last. Your audience will
That's
not
right.
stay
No.
for horrible audio. And
No.
I
I tell
can't.
people all the time.
It
Yeah.
is just, yes, Lord have mercy.
Yeah. 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 So that is one of the things I always cover. I do some consultation for churches. I don't really have the time like I used to. But when I am in maybe a workshop setting, and I'm talking about kind of those nuts and bolts or live streaming and what you need to have. That's one of the things I make sure I cover is audio and video. Definitely audio, because like you said, people are not going to stay for bad audio. If your audio is bad, they just gonna click off and go watch something else. Um, and so I would say to that, I think one of the one of the things that hinders the church sometimes is budget. Sometimes they churches cannot afford to make the leap.
Mm-hmm.
But and also things there are so many things that are free. There are so many things that are more affordable with the advancement of technology that so many churches don't really have the excuse. But it goes back to that they don't think it's important piece, unfortunately.
Oh man.
Uh, I mean, really, I think that some churches are just apathetic towards it,
Mm,
that they don't see it. You know, we have Jesus, we got the preacher, we can hear the preacher in the sanctuary. So
mm-hmm.
never mind the preacher standing in the dark and we can't see the preacher on the camera. You know, we got some dark spots at my church that are about to drive me crazy. You know, and never mind that the pastor does not pay attention when you ask them, don't walk over there because there's no light.
Oh my
And
God.
they go right over there.
Say
It's
amen. Say amen. Say
they go right
amen.
over there and stand in that spot. And so you feel my pain.
Let me tell you, let me jump in. Let me tell you,
Uh-huh.
the church I used to mix at in New York before I left, what we did was we put red tape
I'm about to.
on the pulp around. It's like, you can't step past this. The camera
Yeah.
would never go that low. We're going to keep it belly
Hmm.
up. No
Yeah.
one's going to see this red tape. You
Right.
cannot step outside of this box. You
Yeah.
cannot. I don't care. I don't care. You cannot step outside of
Yeah.
this box, because the
Yeah.
people that you need to reach need you inside of this box.
Right. Right.
The
Right.
people here in the room, they don't care if you stay
They
inside
don't
of
get.
the box. But if you
Yeah.
leave this box,
Right. Yeah.
please do not leave this box. Don't leave. I mean, thick red
Yeah.
gaff. I don't know where we found red gaff. We got
Hmm.
red gaff, a box.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's
I
currently my struggle. And we need some more lights here and there. It's not we can't get it in the budget just yet, but there's some things we can control, which is just not walking over there where there's no light. So, uh, but anyway, I forgot what was your original question. I got
we
turned
were
up about
talking
those
about
lights.
the
Oh,
impact
live stream.
of the live stream. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And so all of those things matter. Cameras, lights, sound, especially. And this is another thing that matters for live stream when you talk about having an impact when as it relates to sound that a lot of churches don't do is that they don't split their streaming signal from
oh,
their house signal. I know I'm preaching to the choir today.
I'm about to run around the room.
they, they do not split that signal. Some of them don't know to, but some of them know to, and they don't even just get a little mixer to get another person to just mix. Yeah, so all
It's
of those things matter.
yes, yes, and
Yeah.
it does. The I just had on the CEO of Boxcast
Hmm.
like last month,
Hmm.
and they have a program called on Remote Mix,
Hmm.
and it will allow you to mix your service remotely. It will connect
Wow.
to your mixer from your browser,
Wow.
and it's free.
And, yeah. And so then you could have somebody else somewhere completely different,
Completely different. You can have the
somewhere in
video on the
another location.
screen. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it'll connect with every mixer, as long as it's on your
Wow.
network. You say,
Hmm.
I have a Mackie, I have this type of mixer, or a
Hmm.
Allen Heath, or whatever. It has a list of mixers. You connect it. You can create your own mix. You can
Hmm.
see it. All of the labels are there. That's on your mixer. It's not. It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So
I'll
that's
send it to you.
okay. That's what I mean by technology is advancing. So where it's removing the excuses.
Exactly.
But churches still, and this is not to just critique the church,
Hmm.
but we're talking from a professional kind of standpoint here and making it better because God deserves better.
Hmm.
If this is where the world has gone in terms of technology, uh, I think I mentioned this maybe in my talk at Inspire Media Conference. I was talking about the different modes of technology back in the day. Not back in the day, in the biblical days, back in the day. But like Paul used epistles. That was his mode of technology. If what if he never decided? If he said, "Oh, I'm not going to write," you know,
Hmm.
I don't, I don't agree with this form of technology in a sense. Uh, what would that mean for us today? Or scrolls, those were modes of technology for those times. That was how they communicated. And so it's incumbent upon the church to embrace these modes of technology that we have now in order to spread the gospel. So,
This bandwagon of showing the flaws of what can happen if you don't do anything.
mhm.
But what do you say to a church that is in the middle of it, but they want to make it better?
I would say invest in your staff. Uh, and by that I mean not just hiring more people, but like training them, sending them to different conferences, so that they can get some professional development. You don't any high-end job or any kind of corporate job, they always send their people away for professional development. I think the church could benefit from that. Putting people, I know it helped me. It has helped some of my staff, just putting them in environments that are so much greater than ours. Like we sent our sound engineers to Wheeler Avenue in Houston. I mean, that place is huge. Their media team is huge. What they offer is huge. And so our guys went. I went to see a certain side, a production side, and then our guys went to see the audio side of what they do. I think that is beneficial for a church who's already doing it, but wants to take it to another level.
I often say that training is, and when I sit and talk to pastors that are just apprehensive about the dollar amount of what the training is,
Mhm.
and I use this analogy, and I say, okay, so you want a professional result, right?
Mhm.
For your media complete, your audio, your video, your
Right.
lights, you want a professional result. Would you hire a plumber
Right.
to fix your electricity?
Right. Exactly.
And they go like,
Exactly.
well, no. Okay. But what if the plumber wanted to be an electrician?
Yeah.
Would you send that plumber to learn electricity? Would you send your team to learn
Mhm.
the proper way to mic someone? Would you send would
Right.
you do that? And
Right.
it just baffles me that it's the last thing.
Mhm.
And the
It is.
churches that thrive in this area, it's the first thing.
Mhm. The church in general, we tend to, you can tell what we value because that's where our money
Mm,
goes. So
mm,
if we value the music in our church, then we put the budget into the music ministry. If we value media, we put the money into in the media ministry. If we value outreach. And obviously we have to do all of those things. But when I see a church with that I know is financially well off, and their media does not reflect any kind of excellence or anything, then and this is, again, I'm not trying to judge, but my first thought is, oh, that's not what they value.
mm,
That's not which is, that's their prerogative. But I think in order to thrive now and in the future, you're
mhm,
gonna have to put some value into it. You have to put
mhm.
some value, because the church, that old model is slowly dying off of what, how we used to evangelize, how we used to do church. It's going to be drastically different.
Oh yeah, drastically different. I remember as a kid, and Saturday come, and my mom was a evangelist, and
Okay.
you're like, so we gonna go out to the corner, we gonna preach the gospel.
Yeah. Yeah.
You standing there like you're 10 years old, like we're gonna do what? And we're gonna hand out tracts. And
Hmm.
every young person that you see, you're gonna run up, you're gonna give them a tract. I was at a church and they were still doing that. They were still doing that. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that hand-to-hand combat is not impactful,
Right. But you definitely need to have a,
but you need to have
like, the digital piece to that,
correct.
for sure.
Yeah.
And times are so different now in terms of safety. Sometimes that's just not even safe to do it. I'm in
Mhm.
Memphis, so let me say that. In Memphis, I'm not standing on any corners. I love the Lord, and He heard my cry, but I'm not standing on one corner in Memphis,
Ah.
Tennessee, to tell people about the gospel. At least not by myself. You know, we got to figure out another creative way to do that.
Oh god.
Memphis is high crime, so
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. So let's
yeah.
talk about, what would you say, I looked at social media, like say just from pre-COVID and then shortly thereafter, let's say to 2022, from 2022 to now, what have you seen as like the future trends or the emerging trends that churches should pay attention to in the next few years?
I honestly, somebody else asked me this question maybe about a month ago. I don't know, excuse me, that social media is offering anything new
Mm,
um, in terms of a trend. To me, it's a bit stagnant.
mm,
Social media right now, because when reels came out, that was that's what you do. If you
yes.
do a reel, no more pictures, you know, you can do that every now and again, but your content needs to be all about video, reels, reels,
Mm-hmm.
reels. And so, I haven't personally noticed a trend that churches can take advantage of, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. To me, that means that you still have time to jump in on what was the last trend, which really was reels, and then of course the explosion of TikTok. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
you can find creative ways to build an audience on TikTok, more power to you. That's not where we put our focus yet. But I know some
Mm-hmm.
churches. I know of some churches that have tried to put their energy there and thrive. So when I think about one trend or one thing you could do that's new, I nothing really comes to mind. I would say just focusing on reels, because they still perform the best on social
Mm-hmm.
media. So you jump in now, you still have an opportunity to really grow your audience.
What do you say to a church that their pastor is they're not so
I already
keen
know
on
what you said.
being a a voice?
Yeah.
I look at a couple of pastors. Like, probably my favorite pastor on Instagram is Pastor Eric Mason.
Okay.
He's
I'm not
amazing.
familiar with him.
Oh
Okay,
man,
I'll look him up.
listen, look him up. He
Okay.
is amazing. Not only is he a great minister, but his
Hmm.
social media content is off the chain. Like,
Really.
it's he has a podcast, he preaches, he does trainings, but his messages, like the low hanging fruit,
Hmm.
it's nothing there that's not good. It's
Yeah.
all good.
Okay. Okay.
And he takes these topics from social media that pop the balloon and all these relationship shows and flips it on his head
Mm.
and uses social media as the draw. So it's a couple of people out here that will use it, but I know churches that
Hmm.
the pastor will not even engage in social media. So how do you get around that? And what if your pastor just is like, "No, I'm not doing it."
Yeah, that's a struggle. So I'll speak from personal experience. My pastor is extremely popular for her preaching gifts and just for who she is. She's 30 years in now, but she is also old school. We have this conversation all the time in that she's a part of that no self-promoting kind of. She sees a little bit of that
I
as
got you.
self-promoting. She's a boomer, and so I'm a millennial. I don't see it the same way.
Mhm.
But I also am a digital native. Social media, I didn't grow up with it, but I grew up with the internet, right?
Right.
My niece, who's Alpha generation, she has grown up with YouTube. None of this will be foreign to her. She won't see it the same way. So if she were the pastor, she would be all over content. And so I say that to say you do every situation will be different in how you handle it. For me, my pastor does not like putting herself on her own page out there a whole lot.
Mhm.
And so I'm constantly saying, hey, I created this piece of content. I invited you to collaborate with me on Instagram. Can you accept the collaboration? Yeah, I'm going to accept it. And then 2 days later, it says, you invited Dr. Gina Stewart to accept, but she has not
Oh,
accepted. So I wish I knew I don't have a cut and dry answer for it,
mhm.
other than
Just
if you're in a
be
position like me, keep creating,
keep creating, keep pushing.
keep probing.
Mhm.
Yeah, keep probing and invite them. What I do when my pastor has a little bit of resistance of something that I may want to try or bring in, on the media side that's going to cost money for one. I just try to show results with what I have.
Mm.
And I'll say, hey, Pastor, look at this. This got 100,000 views, or, this did this performed this way. And, if we were sharing that on your platform as well, even though you're in it, it would have done exponentially more. And so
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of try to strategize because it's not easy when they say no and they don't want to. I know the struggle.
Man. Sheesh. Man.
Yeah, I know
Man.
the struggle.
It's real. And you know what it is that we see the future. They live in the moment,
Hmm.
and their moment is not our moment. So
Right.
what I would do with my pastor in New York, and collaboration is because that's a new thing, because you couldn't do
They
that
didn't do.
before.
Yeah, it's new. Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
new. So now I'll be like, let me get your phone.
yeah. Right.
Let me get your phone. You open your page
Yeah,
up. Okay,
yeah.
thank you. You've collaborated, and
Hmm.
that's what I would do.
Right. Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
let me get your phone. You love me, right? Let me get your phone.
Right.
And you open
Right.
the
I
page.
see.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay. Thank you. You've collaborated. I
Hmm.
appreciate your time. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of times, if you leave it to them, they will
I'm
not
still
get
waiting.
a. You're still waiting. It's 2
I'm
days
still
later,
waiting.
3 days later. You're looking now. Now you can't collaborate. Now you can only add it as a story because you
Hmm.
took too
Right.
long.
Right. Yeah. So that's my current struggle right now. We're working on it, but yeah, it's a struggle.
Before we get out of here, we were talking before we went up that you're working on a book, and
Yes.
so please tell us about this endeavor of yours.
So I just finished writing my first book, and it's a devotional. It's called Unplug. It's a 31-day devotional specifically for content creators, online pastors, and I say everyone in between because I think that if you read it, you can glean something from it. But it was actually an idea from my pastor, actually, who texted me one morning and said, I think you should write a devotional for techies. And I dismissed it. And then I came back a month later and I was like, that's not a bad idea. And so I wrote it. And it's my passion project. I think it's, like I said, it's for content creators, it's for techies, it could be for ministry team, media teams. Even if you're not in church, but you are a person who creates on a regular,
Mm-hmm.
and the demands of what it means to work in this space and to always have to post and to always try to stay relevant, and the pressure that brings, and sometimes kind of the disconnect it could create in your own personal devotional life.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote this specifically to help us to disconnect from the distractions
Mm.
and to reconnect with God. And so I think it'll be a blessing. By the time this airs, I think it will already be out. And so you can look on Amazon for it. I can give you my link to my website. It'll be on there as well. It's called
Yes, please
Unplug.
unplug.
Unplug, a
So
31-day devotional.
all of my listeners out there, and whoever's listening and watching, listen, the link is in the show notes. Make sure you click that. Make sure you go purchase that and become involved. Let me tell you something. This is how I know this is God. Let me tell you something.
Mm,
I'm in the gym and I heard the same thing that you said.
wow.
I mean, the same things, like devotional for techies, for
Wow.
and it's the same thing. And I was
Yeah,
like,
write it.
oh, we're gonna
Yeah.
start with yours.
Okay. Yeah, and then you write the part two or whatever. We go back and forth. I'm sure it's plenty. It's plenty. Um, we
I'm
need help.
excited.
So yeah.
I'm excited because media people. I often say this is that the silence is the applause.
Mm,
It's not. You ain't got to
that's so
shout
true.
me out. You ain't got to say, "Oh, brother, such is in the back doing the sound." No, 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 no. The
Hmm.
fact that no one turned around, the fact
Hmm.
that no one was distracted, the fact that everyone got the word and no one even knew I was in the room
Hmm.
on my team,
Yeah.
or whatever's on the screen. There was no glitches with the lyrics and the imaging. And the fact that you came in and you heard from God and you wasn't distracted, like that is the win.
Mm-hmm.
Invisibility is the win in this ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times, if you want to be part of this type of ministry, media ministry, know that it's a thankless position, and know that the silence is the applause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very important to understand that.
Yeah. And you know, even the flip side of that, when you do, because because it's such a thankless kind of role, sometimes you can get really discouraged in it.
Yes.
You know, there are seasons, and I'm speaking out of my own experience, which is also what I wrote so many of these devotionals, just out of my own experience with navigating faith and technology, and navigating a season of burnout that I'm kind of just coming out of, you know. And so just taking those moments to just be with God and to be refilled by the God who is the ultimate creator, who helps to refill our creative wells. And so I think it's going to be a blessing. I think it's going to be a blessing.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm going to purchase it first.
I appreciate that.
I'm going to purchase it first. So I'll have my copy. And on top of that, I'll be pumping it on my show.
Okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I'll be pumping it on my show because I'm excited for you. I'm very, very, very excited for you. But before we get out of here, we do this game called 30 Seconds and Gone. True, false, yes, no questions.
You didn't warn me about this.
I'm not supposed to. I'm not supposed to. So,
all right.
Question number 1.
You said it's yes or no?
Yes, no, true, false, whatever.
Okay.
Pulled pork or ribs?
Oh, ribs all day.
Okay. If you had to pick a barbecue sauce, would it be hot, spicy, or sweet, tangy?
Oh, spicy.
What is your favorite childhood cereal?
Captain Crunch. I still eat it today.
Okay. Is it with Crunch Berries without?
I take them both ways. Crunch Berries.
Mac or PC?
Mac. Oh, okay. Come on.
One gotta go. IG, Facebook, TikTok, X.
One of them one gotta go?
One gotta go.
X is out of here all day. No, bye. Yeah.
There we have it. She survived. She survived.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
I wasn't gonna throw you under. You know, I had to pick things that would fit your region.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you know I'm in Memphis. You asked me about barbecue now.
Hey,
I really would take both, but if I had to choose. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs of all ages, I just want to thank my esteemed guest for being a part of the show today. Make sure you click the link, go get her book, go support her. I am going to support her. We're going to continue to do that. And I'm going to say, like I always say, keep God first in everything you do. And see you next time on the Church Sound Podcast.
Thank you, Princess.
You're welcome.